Hello guys, my name is Gene Deyev and today you are again watching RWA.Media, which is great. And we're gonna speak today about what assets can be tokenized. What assets can be tokenized. And there are three main group of assets that can be tokenized. First is fixed and tangible assets. I will explain more what it is. Then there are financial assets and there are corporate securities. So three main things, three main groups. So let us dive into the first one. Let's speak about fixed and tangible assets. What are they? What it is? What are we about to tokenize? The main would be real estate, right? So real estate is the most illiquid asset in the world, right? Asset class. And basically by tokenizing it, we're putting the most illiquid asset on chain and making it a liquid asset. So that's a great technology. That's a great asset class to be tokenized. And we see a tremendous demand and this tremendous interest and growth of real estate tokenization worldwide. And there are a number of cases, obviously, I'm not going to mention a lot of them, but from Starbucks perspective, there is a partner and client of ours, Landshare, is one of the pioneers in real estate tokenization. So that's one of the asset classes, right? Real estate. The second subgroup within the tangible assets would be art and collectibles. So that's a great technology to put on the great assets to put on the blockchain, because the main problem with art and collectibles, the main problem of the industry is being able to track the authenticity and the history of the who own, the history of ownership of specific assets. So by putting them on the blockchain, we basically allow these assets to be trackable back to the history, right? And it gives a clear, transparent, immutable view on who owned the asset, at what price it was bought, when and at what price it was sold. And we know that it's impossible to alter this data. So that's on the blockchain forever. So that's an amazing technology for art and collectible industry disruption, right? And with the RWAs, with the tokenization, the art and collectible industry is definitely gonna be transformed, right, through the blockchain. The third asset class within the tangible assets would be intellectual property. Guys, this is an amazing, amazing way of how people can, put IP rights on the blockchain, trade them, separate the power, make sure that the smart contracts, autonomously execute certain, certain events, and you can automate your intellectual property. Amazing technology brought by the blockchain itself. So we're gonna see tokenization of IP rights, and there's a number of other alternative assets. Name them. You can, different things. Even time. I mean, time we explored this opportunity of tokenizing time. We'll speak on this later on. That's a big subject where Starbucks puts a lot of research and development into it. So we believe tokenization would definitely unlock new asset classes, and something which we call now alternative, maybe at some point will become a mainstream asset. Think of a time. Guys, the second asset class to be tokenized is the financial instruments. And when we say financial instruments, we understand two main things. It's a public securities, right? Shares, Tesla shares, Apple shares, right? Bonds, whatever is tradable on, let's say, London Stock Exchange or NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange, that public can own. So these securities are now being transformed and transferred to DeFi. And actually, there's a great company one of the great companies that does it. It's a company named Swarm, right? So they're tokenizing Microsoft shares and the tokenizing Tesla shares, if I'm not mistaken. So these are, great technology. How we see, the assets moving from the CFI, centralized finance, Nasdaq, London Stock Exchange, into the blockchain, right? With the help of technology providers like Swarm. Starbucks also has a lot of interest in that field, and we are working on this, and this is something that we will speak about in Starbucks 4, how we introduce tokenization of public securities with Chainlink. But that's something that we will speak about later on. So public securities are the extremely capital weighted asset class. It's a lot of it's a lot of money to be put on the blockchain, right? Once these securities will be represented on the blockchain in a decentralized form. So public securities are moving to DeFi through the process of tokenization, right? So you have your Apple share, right? And you lock this Apple share, and in within the collateral of that Apple share, the token, right, the derivative, the token of the Apple share is introduced on the market, right, on the DeFi. So like think of this as a bridge between centralized finance and decentralized finance. So you have, you custody an asset, and then you create the token on the other side in other decentralized form. Third big asset class that we will be talking about, and which is a subject to tokenization, is corporate securities. And this is actually where Starbucks come into play majorly, because not only Starbucks, there's a number of great companies that provide tokenization of corporate securities. Landshare, sorry, not the Landshare, Tokeny, DigiShares, Securities, that actually it's a platform that BlackRock utilized and partnered with and actually invested into upon creating a BlackRock Ethereum fund, right? Recently, it was done through the Securities. There's a number of companies that provides tokenization of corporate securities. So when we talk about corporate securities, like what are we about to tokenize? What does that mean to tokenize a company, right? So you tokenize equity. So you have the shares of your company, and that shares belong to somebody, right? It may be you and your partners, it may be whoever. So, and that's usually written in a paper-based form, and somewhere in the registry, and it's very difficult to make changes. Usually, it's this process is tied up with notary processes, with with maybe physical presence sometimes. So it's not very handy. And I mean, it's a legacy process. So when we say let's tokenize an equity, it means that okay, let's have this custody shares, right, somewhere, and then we're gonna log them, and we're gonna create tokens that would represent equity, and we will allocate our partners, investors, whoever, right, who owns the equity, shareholders. We're gonna distribute the equity to the shareholders in accordance to their positions. So, and this is a great transformation, right? So, tokenization of the company would means that the ownership of this company is represented in a form of tokens. And again, there's a number of companies that already start doing so. I will tell you more about the traction. But again, Starbucks was like 3 years ago, was already tokenized, right? There's a number of clients that we're dealing with that actually look forward to tokenization via tokenizing equity, because that democratizes the whole process of fundraising, right? So you don't have to work within the legacy framework. You can fundraise globally on the chain. Of course, it has to be done with the compliance rules, with the securities laws and regulations. There's a lot of things that have to be taken care of, but the blockchain makes it possible. So tokenization of equity, one thing. Then you can have tokenization of revenues, profit shares, right? So maybe you don't want to tokenize and give an equity. You want to, let's say, tokenize a revenue stream and say, I'm going to give to my investors an opportunity to actually invest into 20% of the revenue of my company, right? Because I don't want to disclose the costs. So there's a different place how you can work out around the tokenization of corporate securities. You can tokenize the debt. So you would like to borrow money, and banks not usually happy about it, for example, or not supporting you with this, with the desire. And you can do it through public, right, or through friends and family and existing shareholders. So you may create a corporate bond that and offer this to your investors, to your clients, to whoever you think on the chain, right, on the blockchain. So guys, let me summarize. When we say what assets can be tokenized, we say three main groups: fixed and tangible assets, right? Fixed and tangible assets. Real estate, art, collectibles, intellectual property, alternative assets. We talk about financial assets. It's the second group. Public securities, commodities like, look, Tether gold, right? For example, or look, Paxos gold. So people tokenizing gold. So yes, guys, and with respect to commodities, nobody wants to travel with with gold anymore because it's heavy. We all understand it's nonsense. It's 21st century, right? So you have tokenized gold. Your gold may be kept somewhere in the Paxos reserves, and you own a digital token representing. And it's, guys, you can buy and sell it through your phone, right? You can go on the website. If you, for example, have a Paxos gold, you own gold, it's fully regulated. There is a proof of reserves, right? So again, you have to double check. You have to do your own research. I'm not teasing and teasering Paxos gold, for example, but I'm saying that's a decent way of tokenizing something like a commodity. So that's definitely a technology of 21st century. So tokenizing securities, tokenizing commodities is a great, great future for asset management. And the third main group are corporate securities, mainly represented by equity. Again, there's a number of other corporate securities like revenue shares, profit shares, name them. There's a lot. I mean, I'm in this industry since the beginning, since 2017. I'm talking about the tokenization beginning. We were among the few who started the whole narrative. At that point, it's called STO, Security Token Offering. Nobody knew what the RWA is. Yeah, and now it's becoming a mainstream, and we witness this, and we definitely see how we thought of that the private chains would actually be kings, right? Because big companies want to use private chains to discrete their data and to do whatever they want to do. But what we're now seeing is that the technology of blockchains, they develop so quickly, and there's so many people, like community wise, working on that technology. It just makes no sense to build something on a private ledgers, because all the development, all the focus are on public. And when we talk about public, I mainly say, for this purposes, mainly say Ethereum or Ethereum based or layer 2 or EVMs. So they are building an ecosystem for digital asset management. And what do we see in 2024? BlackRock, right, opening a tokenized fund and lands it on Ethereum. It was impossible even to think 2 years ago. And now it's a fact.